guys, welcome to this vlog. It's Mal here, and I want to tell you guys about a new project that I'm going to do. And this will be like a 15-minute video that I am going to send to one of the cast members, and I really hope that he watches it all and understands, and hopefully, you know, that's going to cement and taking part in what I'm hoping to do at some point soon, hopefully. And it's about this movie called Purely Belter. And Purely Belter was directed by Mark Herman and starred Charlie Hardwick, Tim Healy, Roy Hood, Kevin Whately, and also Chris Beattie and Greg McLane, who were with a cameo appearance from Alan Shearer, of course. Two young, at the time, North East actors who incidentally ended up not pursuing an active acting career, although Chris has gone on to be quite a good singer, I've heard. And also a lot of the North East actors at the time, it was kind of the only time they ever really got into prominence. And when I remember seeing this at university and thinking, I'm looking forward to seeing the next thing that they're in. And obviously that transpired not to be the case necessarily for whatever reason. Now, Mark Herman is an excellent director. He did, I haven't seen Little Voice, but he did Brassed Off. And Brassed Off looked at the mid-90s, not the mid-80s, it was actually the mid-90s North Yorkshire colliery closures and all the issues surrounding the pit closures. But what I want to focus on is Purely Belter itself. My favourite film, it's as simple as that, for a number of reasons, and it sort of piques my interest on a number of levels. I've always been someone who's very interested in how life works. You know, I'm not so much interested in watching the film, but I want to know, like, what do the actors do? Where are they now? You know, what else were they involved in? How do they feel about being in the film? Can they watch it in the same way, or do they just remember the setup of different sets and lights, camera, action? And I've got a tiny little bit of experience in acting, very, very little. I was an extra in Vera, and if you watch I think it's it's definitely the second series, and I believe it's episode 3. I've never actually seen it, which is mad. One of the scenes where she walks into an office, they zoom into the side of my head, and I remember on Twitter, I'm on Twitter, and some people instantly said, "Oh, I've just seen Mal 255 on Vera." Wow, you know. What they did was, and this is how bad I am at acting, is they said to us, right, sit on this chair. I was a trucker, and I had us 3 truckers and then a little actor fella who was playing a part in it, where he gets questioned, I think, for a murder, as tends to happen in Vera. It's a little bit like Murder, She Wrote. If you ever, you know, take almost like if they found themselves at Vera, they'd be thinking, oh my god, I'm going to die. But anyway, they zoomed into me, and Brenda Blethyn walks in, turns around, and he goes, "Trucker's mum, whenever you're ready." And that was it. We left, and they finished filming. Whatever else they did that day. So we were only in for about 10 minutes as it happens, but I got to spend all day on set. And it was kind of weird, like, you know, you can never... I had no idea what the story was. So I guess for these guys, I imagine they did understand what the story was, but I always find it fascinating that it's a testament to the quality of their acting that it comes together so well, because the chances are they're acting it out without really knowing the full story. But they may have read this, which was the book that it came from. It's by Jonathan Tulloch, and it's called The Season Ticket. Now, if you haven't got this book, you can buy it on Amazon for very, very little. I think I got this for a penny and £2.50. But it's actually quite different. It's actually quite different than the film. In fact, at the very, very end, I'm not going to give the ending away, but one of the main characters doesn't necessarily live till the end of the book. And that's all I'm saying. And they've actually changed that in the film in a very effective way, where Sewell has a fight with a hockey, and it's actually a brilliant scene. But it doesn't end up quite as sinister and dark as what it is. And just like Brassed Off, the film was done left a sort of a positive tinge in a way to the movie than the book. But I want to just move on now to talk about why I have looked to maybe doing a documentary about the film 15 years after it's been released. In the first part is, when this came out, I was I was at Lincoln University, and I think and life seems to go a lot slower when you're younger, as we all know this. And I think I was maybe 5 or 6, maybe even less, maybe 4, 5 or 6 weeks into my first semester at Lincoln. I felt like I'd been away forever, and I was went to the Odeon in Lincoln. It's actually knocked down now, and I sat and I watched this movie, and the first thing that comes on is a big Angel of the North. Now at the time I'd never been to the Angel of the North, but I knew it was there. We all know it's there in the Northeast. It's almost like a bold, you know, yep, we are here, and look at me, and we're proud to be Northeast and ugly and weird, and kind of almost a spiritual place. Now what I liked about this is Mark Herman creates characters who are very, very deep, and part of the struggle I've had in the last 15 years, and I've always enjoyed this film, and I was engaged for a while in 2007, and my ex-partner, who unfortunately cheated on me, and she had children, and the youngest at the time, she'll be about 17 now, the oldest at the time was about 11, and I played in this movie, and they thought it was absolutely fantastic. Their favourite part was when he looks up and he goes, "I hope you're proud of yourself, you big, you know, you're supposed to see us through, man." That bit by the wonderful Greg McLane, and just before they go and do the big robbery, which is great. They thought that was fantastic. But what I want to get back to is by saying the big struggle that the characters have in that movie is struggling to find purpose and meaning. I'm lucky that I got educated, and I was aware when I watched this movie, getting educated. And when you're younger, you always have that uncertainty. You always have that major, and some of us carry that right into adulthood. And I think my main ambition is to actually get rid of that and become secure. That's not saying I want to win the lottery, but if that's how security happened, I'd take it. Is we have that insecurity of going, are we going to get educated? Are we going to find a good job? Are we going to find a good partner? Are we going to have children? Are we going to have a house? Are we going to have security, wealth? Are we going to have a prosperous career? Are we going to enjoy day-to-day life in a job? Because quite often I've had this job about 10 years ago. I worked in a bookmaker's, one of the big chains, and every day I went in and I knew the only guy that was coming in was a guy called Ed, and he would bet £1 on every race. Pound. Occasionally he'd win, pay out, and pound. So it was that was what I had to look forward to every day, and it was dreadful, and I hated it. And I used to sit at home on my days off, and I used to look at the clock and think, please slow down, I don't want to go back to work. And that was kind of the reality. So we always have these struggles, and in the movie, the two main characters, Greg and Chris's characters, who are Sewell and Gerry, they have this struggle and they have this purpose. But what I used to find when I was younger is when we all look ahead and we dream of, say for example, we want to be professional footballers. That was never a possibility for me. I was terrible. But we always imagine that when you become a professional footballer, your whole life, everything is a professional footballer. The diet, the exercise, the fans, the games, the off-season. So you're never just living. You're always like during the season or heading towards a World Cup, or you kind of get that whole life embodiment. And what these guys, they show off so well in the film, is that whilst they're striving to get their season tickets and they're doing all the various money-making little scams and enterprises to obtain that money, in a very dedicated way, by the way, in showing character traits that perhaps they would do very well in life if they applied those character traits elsewhere. Real life's going on in the background. For example, Gerry's mum's very ill. Dad comes back and he's not a nice man. And Sewell has the issue with his granddad, early Alzheimer's, who he calls his dad, and also the dog, and keeping away from the guy who's quite nasty, who's after him to get that dog back. And also Gerry with his home situation and his sister that we do see when they visit. So there's all those issues going on, and we all have this striving to find purpose in life, and some of us are lucky enough to find it. And I kind of, I could do a video on the various things that I've done, and I don't mean actions I've taken, but I mean interests that I've pursued, attempts that I've made to do something, and they've all never quite got me that embodiment that I've mentioned about being a professional footballer. It's not what I'm looking for, but I'm looking for that feeling of total immersion into something that you're passionate about. And some people have this. I've got a friend of mine who's a poet, and everything he does is about poetry. And he completely embodies poetry. Everything he does is about writing a new phrase. He'll go and sit in the park and he'll write a poem. And he has that complete creative envelope that he lives in. And, you know, everything he does is about writing and about poetry. And because he's got a health issue that he gets his benefit money, and he seems reasonably adept at living within his means and doesn't let that type of thing stress him out whatsoever. He has no real ambition to covet money in a similar way that perhaps I probably do. And he lives an absolutely fantastic life. He absolutely, you know, he has a health condition, a very serious one, but he lives his life with purpose and meaning that I could only dream of at this point. And I think that's lucky for him. So anyway, going back to this, that's one level that interests me. The second level is the actual locations. I love the fact that I've been to a lot of the places that are in this movie. I love the fact that I too used to go to the Angel of the North and just look at it and think. You know, the Northeast uses that as a real meditative, almost a cultural icon. You know, it's almost like a pagan icon in a way, where we kind of go there and it's almost spiritual in a way. You know, I would never want them to move it and take it away. I'd be very gutted because I haven't been there for, I'm going to guess, even as long as 3 to 4 years, which I find surprising. But I'm actually off work this week and I am planning on going to it and just spending 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes just walking, just looking at it. And to be honest, when I'm there, this movie, generally speaking, is on my mind. When I went there with my ex, and this is going back to 2000, and well, it must have been 2007, the first thing that the kids did, and they were little terrors, was walk up to it and shout, "You should have looked after us, you big effing T. You should have seen us through, man." And they thought that was fantastic. Luckily, there was nobody else there who heard the bad language and they got told off for it. But that's the kind of thing. And I bet loads of people have done that. So that's another reason why I like the film, just to go around to the different locations. The third reason is I think it taps into that, like all of Mark Kerman's work, it taps into that real, the social aspect of, there were just two lads without any aspiration, without any chance. They'd fallen through the cracks of society. They were technically down and out. In 2007-2008, I actually wrote to Channel 4 and asked if they would accept with any... one second, I'm just going to have a drink. If they would accept with any kind of open-mindedness of me submitting a script for what I thought would happen in the future to the two main characters. What I thought would happen, and I'm not obsessed by this movie, by the way, this is just, I enjoy it and it makes me think. So I like movies. If you look at my different films down there that I've got the DVDs, all those movies in some way either connect me to a memory or make me think about certain things. And what I like about this is I had an idea of what might have happened in the future to these guys. Now this is going back to 2007, so the movie was going to be, I was going to have Gerry returning from the army. I was going to have him enlisting in the army, and I was going to have Sewell hanging around in Shearer's Bar at the time. It's no longer Shearer's Bar. And basically, you know, living the struggles of Newcastle United, which is a painful experience for us all. And kind of, you know, basically never having done much, Sewell, but Gerry being a little bit more enterprising. I thought he might have gone off in the army, but they end up getting drawn back into this web of sort of quasi-crime and then trying to ultimately get out of it at some point. They didn't reply, so obviously they never make sequels, you know, there's no money in British film nowadays, but that's for a different video. So yeah, the last reason that I'm interested in the film is the fact that the main characters, the main actors, Greg McLane and Christopher Beattie, never really kicked on from that. They both managed to be in a film where they were the stars, undoubtedly the stars. They were in every scene nearly, one of the other, and they never kicked on at anything else. And I'll be interested to ask them, you know, is this movie something that they remain proud of, or is it something that they in a way resent because it was the what might have been, you know, a snippet of the dream they could have had type thing, or was it something that they did and they decided they didn't want to do? I did contact Chris through Facebook, and he very kindly got in touch and advised that he would be happy to be interviewed, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm looking to expand on some of these themes in a sort of mini documentary where I'd visit the areas that was in the film, show how it's changed, how Newcastle's changed since then, and Gateshead, of course. And, you know, some of the issues, maybe speak to a few councillors about, you know, the issues in the book suggest, like, real struggle for people in this area. Is this better or worse now than what it was back when they were writing about it, when the book was written and when the film was made? So there's all these types of issues that I want to look into, but mainly as well to talk to the characters. I think people would love to see where are they now, what do they look like. I know that he looks all quite the same. I think he'll be touching 30 now if he's not just over 30. You know, it's amazing. I look a ton different to what I was when I was 17. People who I went to school with walk straight past me. They've got no idea who I am. I didn't wear glasses at school. I'm a lot bigger, unfortunately. Let the weight go a little bit. I've got type 1 diabetes, so I have my health problems as well. But I just think that things like this movie, it just captured a very special time in my life, around about the year 2000, where everything just seemed a little bit simpler. I didn't have all these struggles or niggles in my mind about careers and things. It was all about just enjoying being young. And obviously, I just wonder whether how this is filed away in their lives. Now, unfortunately, Chris isn't in touch with Greg anymore, so I'm hoping by posting this video that by some amazing chance you might watch it, and I hope that, you know, it might be open to, if someone knows where he is, to contact him and ask if he'll be willing to be interviewed as well, because I don't think, you know, obviously nowadays I presume that these guys didn't make £5 million each. I wish they did, from making this movie, and obviously are probably now living probably a very similar life to me. I remember in about the year 2006, I was driving down the road, and I'm pretty sure I saw him. I don't know. I'm really good with faces. Like if I walk past somebody and I knew them. In fact, somebody drove past me in a car park this morning when I was going to the bank, and it was a girl I hadn't seen since I was 16. Now, bearing in mind that's 17 years ago, and I knew instantly who she was, just like that. So it'd be nice to meet him and, you know, thank him for the film and, you know, have a chat as well. So if you haven't seen it, guys, Purely Belter is a magnificent film. I kind of am a deep guy, and I think about these things quite a lot. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's just a really good, fun movie. That I remember the people in the cinema, we had a good laugh when we watched it way back in 2000 at the Lincoln Odeon, and everyone enjoyed it. They all came out with a smile on their face. And for those people, they would have thought, that's like the Northeast. Like when you watch the Full Monty and you get that taste of Sheffield, this you get the taste of Newcastle and Gateshead, the Northeast. In a similar way that when you watch, you know, you watch American Beauty, you get a taste of suburbia and the dodginess in America, perhaps. But you know, so I hope that was enjoyable. And you know, if you haven't seen the movie, definitely get it, and the book as well. And the book as well. Jonathan Tulloch, called The Season Ticket, and very well written, and the film does it justice and some more. So thank you for watching, and keep an eye out for when I expand on this with the documentary, and hopefully an interview with Chris and Greg if I can find him, and Andy's willing to do it, I hope. And until then, check out the movie, take care, and thank you for watching.